Welcome to episode 188 of the Muck Podcast, a member of the Odd Pods Media Network. Listen in as we discuss the dark and sometimes weird true stories in American politics. I'm Tina Hadamio.
And I'm Hillary Doherty.
Hillary.
Hi.
It's been a week.
I love it.
Long week.
Literally before we press record, it's like,
Happy little clams.
Oh my god.
Your roof is done.
My roof is done! Can you believe this?
I pulled up and it looks so cute.
Now, thank you. Because that's what happens when I pull up. I got the kids back this week, and I pulled up to the house and go, look at our roof!
Aww.
You know? Look at all, now what I see is dollars. Look at all that money! But it was, like 2 weeks before, it was a major problem because I have an AC duct on top of my roof, and which is not normal, but we bought the house from the original owner. And when she put an addition on the back, they just said, we're going to put the AC on this flat roof. Let's just put it on the roof. And they just put it up there, and the airflow is really low in the back of the house. But usually, summertime it sucks. I get it. But usually it's fine. And so the roofing company told me that it'll be fine, we can work around it. It's the only roofing company that told me that. And so I believed them. And they were charging me a little bit more, but I was like, it's worth it because I don't have to get an AC company out here to take the AC duct off the roof. And then 2 weeks before they were supposed to come out, the construction manager's like, we're worried about this AC duct. And I was like, go fuck yourself. Mm-hmm. But he ended up being like a gem who I'm going to call this week and thank him he was the calmest person ever. They
have to be dealing with...
Yeah, and they dealt with a crazy person.
Yeah.
Who was saying things like, y'all don't want to do this to me.
Yeah.
Because we're going to have a problem. Especially because the quotes I was getting to take it off and put AC in the back of the house was upwards of $10,000. And I'm like, wow. I'm not spending more money here. So how are we going to figure this out? Yeah. And by the way, why is it my job to figure it out? You all figure it out.
Especially after they said they were going to figure it out and do it. That's the best part.
And ended up working out great. The guys who came out and did the work were really great. They did a great job. I'm happy with it. And, there were a little bit of drama, but I guess I overthought a lot of it, but I was worried. You never know. When you start to take things off of your roof, what's happening underneath, we don't know. So anyway, that's done. I've gotten insurance quotes. It looks like my insurance is going to be less than what I have now, but a little bit more than what I was paying the year before. But that's still okay. It's a lot. It's thousands and thousands of dollars less than the quotes I was getting, $3,000 to $4,000 less than what I thought it was going to be from other quotes.
Oh my
God. But here's the crazy thing, because I do want to talk about insurance a little bit, is that the way that they're doing insurance in Florida now, it's separate. So I didn't realize this. My insurance was always together, where your homeowner's insurance and your wind mitigation, which is hurricane insurance, was always in one policy. So how they're doing it now is they're separating it. You get a policy called X-Wind, which is regular, your pipes burst, you have a fire in your house, etc. That's your insurance.
So my parents just got theirs.
Yeah. Mine's $2,900 for the year.
My parents, it's $3,400, and that's not including
hurricane,
the wind. So they're going to be close to $8,000.
Right. So
it's outrageous.
So here's what this is the loopholes insurance companies are doing. So that's my homeowners. It's $2,900. So I signed it quickly because I don't have my wind mitigation yet because I need to get a 4-point inspection for my house to look at, which is happening Monday. So I can turn that over to the insurance company and get my discounts for my new roof. All that stuff comes with wind mitigation. Okay. So I signed the homeowner's policy, the X-Wind, very quickly on a Tuesday night because I'm like, give me insurance. If there's a fire in 5 minutes, I need insurance. So Wednesday morning, I emailed it to myself. Wednesday morning, I open it up and I start reading, what did I sign? I knew how much. All I cared about was really how much. Here's the kicker now with homeowners insurance. And I'm blessed that it's $2,900. Please don't get me wrong. There are waivers contained in your insurance policy now that you need to pay attention to.
Oh.
They have liability waivers, which means they're not responsible if there's mold in my house. They're not responsible if there's a flood as far as the ocean comes up and floods, not a flood in the wall. But they even with the flooding.
So if there's like a rainstorm that happens to be bad and water gets in.
Yeah, that's flood insurance. That's something separate.
That's
a $600 a year insurance policy, which I don't have. I'm not in a flood zone. I'm up off the ground.
Means your pipe bursts.
Right. But even with that, it's like you're limited by how much they'll give you. But the thing that fucks me up about the mold, especially, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking, because that's how they're selling insurance now. These insurance companies are coming in and they're taking your money, which again, thank you, insurance company, for insuring me. But I don't know what they're actually going to cover if something happens, especially mold. Mold is tricky because there could be a leak behind your wall that you're not aware of. It's wet and it's wet and it's wet and mold grows and you don't know until you open the wall up and you see it. My liability waiver covers up to I think it was $10,000. So basically to take whatever, remove the wall, but they won't cover anything else. They're not responsible. This is how they're able to afford to cover claims.
Oh my
Do you understand? Because they're not really going to ever cover anything.
Not going to cover. So they'll just take the money.
Yes.
And then someone who I'm going to assume lives in a newer home, or they're not going to have maybe the mold issues as some of the older homes. Oh god.
Well, they could though, because it doesn't even matter. It really like water dripping. It could be anything. You could have a leak behind your wall that you don't know about.
I mean, God,
you can't have X-ray vision.
Yeah, and around your window frames.
Who knows?
I would assume that there's going to be some mold because
like you have to be a super homeowner to be paying attention to what's happening. Here's the other fucking thing that's crazy.
It's not me.
Here's the other thing. So now you have these separate policies for wind mitigation, hurricane insurance, and how they're doing this is crazy. Your coverage, your deductible, is based on the value of your home. So you can get a policy that's 2% of your value of your home, or 5% of the value of your home, and that's what your deductible would be. So my home is valued at, I think, $225,000. Now, thank God, because if you go look at the property tax, it's valued a lot more than that. But the 5%, so my deductible, if something were to happen, would be $12,000. That's also how these companies are not going to cover claims.
Right.
It's because no one
can meet the deductible.
Yeah. Now,
so if you can't meet the deductible, then they don't pay anything.
Well, no. Then they would cover whatever the cost is. So say my roof gets ripped off during a hurricane, and I have to pay the first $12,000, which is why we have insurance, because nobody has sums of money hanging around. We pay these insurances all year so that if there's a catastrophe, we're covered. That's not what they're doing anymore. Now it's based on the value of your home and this percentage. So my policy would be less if I got the 2% because I'd be paying more. They did this at my office too. So my office, the value of my office that I work in is like $440,000. We get this policy. It's like, your deductible is going to be $40,000. My boss is like, we can just do the work ourselves. Like, why are we going to do this? So we didn't get wind mitigation because it was going to, what's the point? What's the point? Which is what they're doing. Which is why they're able to offer insurance here.
And I feel like, so if you get that policy, right, you're going to pay 5% of the value of the house, and the whole house goes kaput in some storm, and somebody's house is worth $200,000. Then they're going to give you $200,000 to rebuild.
After you pay your deductible. By the way,
still, I feel like $200,000. Let
me tell you something.
You can't even. Somebody gets a kitchen and a bathroom.
By the way,
whatever. That's could be half the cost of that $200,000.
I got to say something else too. They say the house is $225,000, like I said, but I got to tell you, I think that it would cost a lot more than that to rebuild a house.
Well, to rebuild this house, absolutely.
Yeah, and let me say something else. I've been reading this article. It came out August 6th in the Washington Post. It's called "How Florida Let a Top Insurer Abandon Homeowners in Their Time of Greatest Need." Every Floridian should go read this article. It's crazy town. It's crazy town, especially because
they pay.
It's about a company called United Property and Casualty. It was one of the largest insurance companies here in the state of Florida, and they had like millions of policies. Then the hurricane hit, like Irma and Ian hit.
Yeah.
And they started having $30 million to quickly $150 million in losses, paying out claims. This is like what happened in Fort Myers. They'd give people $11,000 and then you would never hear from them again. Wow. Your insurance contact there would disappear. There was no regulation. That's the other part that I'm reading now in this article, which is so fucking good. But it talks about how the state of Florida, we need lawmakers to keep these motherfuckers in check. We have an insurance commissioner and he says he's doing his job. but they're not regulating these insurance companies, and they're not making sure that they're solvent.
Right.
This company went under, and these people are never going to get their money. And here's the thing about the mold. One of these couples, it's living in Fort Myers, there's all this water damage in the house. They hired somebody to come in and say, this is how much it would cost to replace your house. The guy walks in and he's like, we got to get out of here. And he's like, what? He comes back in with a mask on, and he just puts a hammer on the wall and opens it up. There's fucking black mold all in there. Because the thing about water coming in your house is if you have to immediately put fans in, those industrial fans, to start drying the walls, because that's when, like within a day, mold starts growing. You have to dry your house out. And that didn't happen. These people sat and lived in this house, and the guy's like, we have to get out of here because it's going to get in your lungs. And the owner of the house is like, oh, I've had this weird cough since January that won't go away. This is one of the people that were abandoned by this company. Their house the guy said, it needs to be demolished. You can never live in this house again. They only got $31,000 from the insurance company. The insurance company went under.
So,
this is one of many stories about this company.
And I can't remember if it was when we spoke to Hillary Cassell or if I was speaking to someone else because, my brain. But from what I understand, too, with these insurance companies, like every year they have to sort of like get renewed or show that they're solvent and they get grades, like these insurance companies get graded. Mm-hmm. But a lot of them have their money out of the country. That's how this they have their money out of the country to somehow prove their solvency. I don't know how they do it. And it's like this bidding. It's this crazy thing that's happening for them to kind of prove that they could cover people if they need to, and then shit like this happens because it's all like a shell game with where they're hiding the money, where they're putting the money. Because I feel like if things are going legit, why is everything happening off our country's shores with these insurance companies? Listen
to this quote, because this guy, Michael Galdieri, is the Florida's insurance commissioner, so they talked to him for this article. And it says in here, quote, a big problem, Galdieri said, is that his office has been limited in what they can do regarding how parent companies act and what they can do with their money. He pointed to recent legislation, including the new Insurer Accountability Act, that has given his agency more resources and reach to better govern insurers, though the toughest provisions of the law were stripped from the final version. Officials have pledged to fully investigate UPC's conduct and any other allegations of bad behavior. UPC's business model, insurance and financial experts say, reflects a lack of regulatory framework that has made it even harder for Florida residents to get back on their feet after disasters. So it all lands with the legislature. Yeah. When I tell you that they could do something about this, they could give this insurance commissioner more leeway to go after these motherfuckers, they won't do it. And do you know why?
Because they donate
they give them money.
DeSantis.
And I mean hundreds of millions of dollars. All the money we're paying to our insurance company is given to donations to the Republican majority, and the governor, to not put these in. Why would you strip away harsh, regular actions against insurance companies? Why would you do that? These people lost everything. It's shocking, and it's scary as fuck. And I was trying to explain it to my son last night, and I was trying to explain it to my daughter today. And I said, really, at the end of the day, it's just really scary.
It's very scary.
It's really scary. And the fact that, I always think insurance is a scam. I think homeowners insurance, health insurance, auto insurance, it's a fucking scam. And it's because you're paying just in case.
Yeah.
And that to me is ridiculous. And especially because just in case happens, you better fucking pay up. You better pay up.
And the thing with the whole just in case scenario is the thing that always boggles my mind is that people who don't have insurance can go in and they can negotiate.
Yeah.
I had someone who was telling me that they were going for like an MRI or something.
Right.
And the MRI with my insurance was like, I forget, I think it's like $250 or something like that, $300 maybe. With my insurance.
Yeah.
And Joe Schmo without insurance can go in and go, well, I can pay this, I can pay that, whatever, and then gets it for $200. So I'm like, I don't understand. You're paying $200 out of pocket because you don't have insurance, but I'm paying $350 or whatever it was, and plus I'm paying insurance. You know what I mean?
I mean,
and how can the MRI place go, well, it's $200 for you, but it's $350 if you have this insurance, and it's $400 for you with this, and it's $200.
Well,
it should just be an MRI costs X amount of dollars.
Yeah.
Insurance or not, it's $100. If you have insurance, and your insurance covers it, you don't pay anything. If you don't have insurance, it's $100. Like, I don't understand this weird sliding scale of numbers.
I was just talking about it this morning. Like, scans, when we had, with the health insurance I had when I was on family insurance, it was like, when Obamacare went into place, health insurance companies fought Obamacare so badly because they thought we're going to lose a lot of money. Except they've got into a dark room and they're like, how can we still make money? I know. We'll make deductibles per person in the family $5,000 each. And that way, if there's an emergency, I hope you have enough money for each person in your family to pay for that deductible. And that's what's happening here. How can we still make money? And how can we make money and still not cover anything? I know. We'll make the deductible twice, 3, 4 times what it used to be.
It's like a cafeteria. You go in and you can pick this and you pick that and then you're getting hosed. Yeah. Because they're all these separate things and they think they're giving you a deal because then they'll be like, oh, bundle this or get this. And
could you imagine a hurricane comes through and like everything's ruined and they're like, by the way, you need to give us $12,000. Yeah. And I got to tell you something else. You give them $12,000, I'd be very weary if you're going to get something in return. And so I don't understand the whole point of it all. Why are we making it easier for insurance companies to get bigger? And then we're not getting covered. There's something fucking ass backwards about that. And we all need to start thinking about how we're going to, because otherwise, I don't know what we're doing here. What are we living here for? This isn't happening except in California. I know it's happening. Like in these states where environmental disasters, which is another thing on my list, like these environmental disasters that I've been watching for the last few months, the earth is pissed. Yeah. It is pissed off. And it's coming for okay. It's coming.
And it's well deserved. We deserve it.
Yeah, I mean, humanity has wrecked this earth. But I want to talk about Hawaii with these fires. So our good friend Carolyn Peterson lives in Hawaii, and so she was saying that, or Caroline Peterson, she was saying that they had a hurricane off the coast of Hawaii. So they felt the hurricane winds, and that's what knocked down these power lines. Yeah. And then the wind is going, and the fire is blowing all over, and that's what destroyed. So that is a natural disaster. The hurricane winds coming is a natural disaster. Yeah. Then I saw a fucking house fall off a cliff with these raging rivers. Then I saw a house floating down a river in Norway that had just fallen off of a cliff. And just like, what are we doing? The coral reefs is a major thing in Florida.
I mean, and they, with this heat,
with the 100-degree weather,
heat, and the water being so warm, like there are people that have been like diving out there trying to do whatever they can.
Let me tell you something.
To try to save these reefs, and people don't understand that like. This is like the reefs are like they're an organism that needs to exist.
Fish won't live without the reefs. We
need it to exist for the ecosystem, for the structure of our shoreline. Like there's all of this stuff.
That's the part I didn't know.
Necessary by the way. Our state.
Yeah. So the New York Times did a whole article. They went down to the Keys and there's people down there, and the pictures of these people who have been trying to save these reefs or are growing reefs to put back into the ocean. Yeah. They're just so sad, and they're like, why isn't anybody doing anything about it? Like, they're just so fucking broken about what's happening. But what I didn't know, and I read in the article, is that 97% of the force of the water that comes up on our shore during a hurricane is stopped by coral reefs. 97%. What do you think happens when I'm a mile and a half from the beach
and all that's
when there's no coral fucking reef?
Yeah, no, we're done.
What in the fuck?
We're done.
Like when they say everything works together, everything works together. I know fish will disappear. Like, we won't have fish anymore. Remember, people will be like, remember how great it was when we see fish? Like, they're going to be gone. But there's also going to be waves coming down Atlantic Boulevard. You know? And I'm going to go, I wish I had that flood insurance.
Yeah, I mean, my surfboard?
Coral reefs are disappearing because they're all a part of how our Earth survives. Like, everything works together. I just saw a fucking story on CNN that this company is investing $1 billion. They're making robot bees. They have a picture of it.
Oh, yeah, because
robotic bees.
Yeah. Well, because bees are like the center of everything.
They pollinate. That's why we have vegetables and fruits. I mean, everything.
And
trees.
There's been such they're not going extinct, but they are in harm's way.
But instead of actually saving the bees,
their populations
instead
are
of actually putting $1 billion into bee farms and create real bees. No, we're gonna make robotic bees It's so fucking wild to me. Like, just this idea of technology and having to create something to replace
what we've done.
But that's how they're replacing humans that way. You know what I mean? Like, this is what we're all fighting for. Like, the robots are going to...
It's over.
Why would anybody invest $1 billion in making a robot bee? Like, there are bees that still exist. Can we just get these motherfuckers mated and, like, figure that out? Get them to stick their penis into the queen and let's go? Like, what the fuck?
But I think with the bees, too, it has to deal with the weather and the temperature. And, you know, there's all of these things and, like, that for their ecosystem to be able to thrive, it's not happening.
It's so human.
Because we just
to want to create, everything. Yeah. But it's just so human to ignore the real issues like climate change. And then go, you know what we should make is a robot bee.
I know.
But we're going to ignore the fire that's right outside our door.
Right.
That's so human, and why we're broken and why the earth is done with us. You know? The earth is done with us. I mean, y'all better really get used to that idea.
And I think about it. Like, think about when our children have children and those kids are 20 years old. Like, what is this planet going to be? I don't even know. Florida won't be here.
I'm 45 and I am shocked by the weather disasters that I have been witnessing on Twitter or whatever. Like, it's wild to me. And how are people not noticing that it's like happening all the time, like constantly?
And the other thing, and I know we're probably going to talk about this, but I have to segue into, you know, it's about education, right? It's about teaching kids and listening to science. And then you have nut job governors like ours,
believing science,
who you know has approved curriculum for the state. And I know we talked about it last time. This PragerU curriculum, where they, in one of their videos, they say that climate activists are like Nazis and how fossil fuels are your friend. Okay, so what is that about? That's about let's ignore the problem again. Like, let's build a generation of kids who don't think that this is an issue. And you're going to do this in the state of Florida, where, as Hillary said, we are in dire need between the coral reefs, the algae blooms. You know,
it's all about prayer, though. Like, that's another thing. It's like, if you give all these problems up to God, then He'll solve them for you. God's doing this. Yeah. Like I said a couple weeks ago, God said, "I'm going to create man in my image, this beautiful earth. I'm going to give them everything they need to survive." No. And then He checked in the 70s, and He was like, "What the fuck? Yeah. I thought they'd figure this out because I turned the heat up." No. And now He's checking in, and He's like, "You know what? Fuck them. Put everything up to 100. Put everything up to 11.
We're gonna boil them.
You know,
it's gonna boil us.
Fuck them, because that's what's happening. That's what's happening. There's nobody coming to save you. This is who's created. If you think God created the earth, you better believe God's fucking gonna destroy it as well. Put that in Prager fucking you.
Oh my god.
I mean, I wanted to ask you. So last week we talked about AP Psych that was taken out, and within days the Florida Department of Education's like, "Oh no, psych!"
Yeah,
psych.
Backpedal.
Yeah, now it's back.
We talked about it, and I don't know if we talked about it on the show or not, but it just seems interesting to me that when the AP African American
that they're not backing
by
on
the
that.
wayside, they're not backing by that, but because probably a bunch of white angry parents flipped out because AP Psych is one of those AP classes that. It's a college level class, but it has got a good pass rate, and it's, you know, kids enjoy it. So it's something that's like, okay, I can throw this on my schedule. I can get a good grade in it. I can boost my GPA. You know, it's got all the things. So of course there's going to be a lot of angry parents. So now you're going to backpedal for that because it's not just the black parents who are upset. You know what I mean? That's how I'm looking at it.
Excuse me, Senator Chevron Jones had a town hall about the African American history and what's happening in the schools in Miami. It was supposed to be, I think, Thursday, and there was a couple speakers, including Manny Diaz, who's our education commissioner. He was confirmed, and he bailed the morning of, didn't show up, and that was a packed house, and he had the opportunity to explain, and he didn't. He is a coward. He said there were scheduling conflicts. He was going from school. He was going into different schools on the first day of school. This was at night on a Thursday.
Cares.
Yeah,
nobody wants to see your face.
He's a fucking coward.
Nobody knows who you are, frankly.
I mean, I have to tell you, I have never seen the worst kind of people is this: the people who put these things into action and then hide when it's not session. And
that's
I
like
know,
a Marco Rubio move.
and LaMarco does the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, he shows up where he knows he's not going to get yelled at. It's fucked up, and especially if like you put out these statements that you support these changes, and then you can't show up and talk to a crowd of people. You can't take the fucking heat. Get out then. Then you should get out. What about DeSantis' campaign is fucking imploding. I cannot believe the changes that he is putting all over this fucking thing. First of all, there was an incredible article in Sun Sentinel. I think I sent you a screenshot of it last week, where his major contributor, this guy Bigelow, I don't know, some casino guy in Las Vegas has been giving him $20 million at a time.
And
he called DeSantis' campaign manager last week, and he's like, "I'm not giving any more money." And there was a silence on the phone, and he said, he was quoted in the article going, "I thought she passed out," because he's like, until DeSantis can show this guy that he can get money from other people.
He can't.
Then he's not contributing another dollar.
Nobody likes him.
That's a huge burn in his campaign because he's running out of money. And so what does he do? He decides he's getting out instead of remember, he's changing the font. He's changing his stance on abortion. He's changing his stance on that. Not that he's for abortion.
He won't change any laws.
He took his chief of staff of his office, governor's office, and that person's now running his campaign. The person who is in charge of some other bullshit. It's crazy what is happening.
He's blaming everyone but himself.
Yeah.
That's what's happening here.
You got to change the candidate.
What he needs to do is look in the mirror, and he's got to fire that guy.
Yeah.
That's who needs to be.
And so his campaign is flailing. And so what does he do? He comes back to Florida this week, and he announces he's going to remove.
Oh my God!
The Orange County, Osceola County State Attorney, District Attorney, Monique Worrell.
Yeah.
He's going to remove her from office. Elected black woman.
Yeah.
Elected. The people elected her. He removed her. He did the same thing to the attorney over in Hillsborough County, the state attorney. Mm-hmm. Now he's removed 4 Democrats from office that have not been charged with a crime.
Yep.
You are allowed. You can take people off. Like when he removed the 4 Broward County school board members, they'd all been found in that jury, whatever that thing was called.
Yes.
He removed them from office. If you're charged with a crime, I totally get it. Yeah, Democrat, Republican, take them out.
Right.
He took out Scott Israel was one of them,
right.
And these 2 attorneys and somebody else. They've never been charged. They're not under investigation. They've never been charged with a crime. And he removed her from office.
Yeah, and I was just trying to look up, and I believe that they removed her because, she didn't. Let me see if I can.
They don't like the way that she has prosecuted crimes. He thinks she's letting people get away with shit.
Yeah, who had guns or something like that.
Violent criminals aren't being prosecuted the way that he thinks they should be.
This is not what that's about, though.
No, it's because she's a black woman,
and he wants to make the news.
Yeah.
And he wants to show all the racists that he is there supporting them.
And he replaced him. He appointed, because he has to appoint somebody, this black attorney, this guy, who immediately removed the DEI, the Diversity Education Equality Training, whatever it is. He removed that from their staff.
Yep. And I think one of her, someone high up in her chief.
He fired her.
Who was on maternity leave.
Yeah.
Which I believe when you're taking the FMLA, you're not allowed to lose your job. I think that's a crime unless they're going to try to say that they removed her for some other reason other than her being home with a baby.
This woman, Monique Worrell, is on the ballot in 24, and she could get reelected, and
he's
probably will,
again.
And he could pull her again.
Unbelievable.
And this
is a duly elected person. This is another example of DeSantis, the dictator.
Yeah, this is fascism.
Wanting things his way.
Yeah.
And I can imagine that anyone sitting in any seat in this state, on any level, from a local level.
What if you remove Harold Pryor?
Right.
What if you remove Harold, who's our state attorney?
Yeah. Oh, people would. Well, I don't know if people would lose their mind.
I think they fucking would. You don't think they're losing their mind in Orange County right now? Absolutely. This is an outrage. It's an outrage. Especially because another one of those, what's the guy that you covered, Greenberg? Joel Greenberg.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The 7th person associated with Joel Greenberg and his crimes was charged this week and found guilty.
Yeah.
Like charged with another crime.
Was it Lazaro?
I don't know, but 7 people around this guy have been charged with crimes. He never removed any of them. He never removed Joel Greenberg. He never did anything. This guy was vagrant.
This guy was wasn't he involved with the sex trafficking?
Yes, with teenage girls.
Anton Lazaro.
Yeah.
He was sentenced to 21 years for sex trafficking minors.
Yes. This is who he's
Was that who
This
it was?
is who Joel, yes.
No?
This is who, yes. Okay. This is who Joel Greenberg's hanging out with. He never removed Joel Greenberg, who had all those rumors around him and then started getting charged, never fucking removed him. But he's removing people who've never been charged with a crime.
Yeah.
It makes it pretty obvious. But that's what he's coming off the campaign trail to do. Meanwhile, you see these clips of him? He looks like a psychotic person. He's like, it's like he starts to laugh, and it's like he knows because somebody told him, people think it's weird when you laugh. Yeah, so he immediately stops laughing, and he's like...
He is a weirdo.
He's such a fucking weirdo.
He's a weirdo.
He's a weirdo. And he's losing, and he's going to come back here, and we're going to get it.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to get it.
Yeah, you know what? He's the abusive father who is, mad. He's got some, job he doesn't like. Something sets him off, and he's going to come home and beat the whole family. And I
guarantee you. Now, here's the thing.
We are the family.
Yeah. And I guarantee you he's going to angle for a 3rd term. Now, we'll hear rumors about it. I don't know if the legislators will actually go along with it because they don't have to, right? Like, they know if he's out, he's out. He can't hold anything against them anymore. But I think he's going to angle to stay in power because he has no other options. Unless he runs against Rick Scott. Oh, no, not Rick Scott. Rubio. Because Rick Scott's 24. So he could run against... Oh, maybe he could run against Rick Scott. Maybe if he loses his presidential... Maybe if he pulls out, maybe he'll run against Scott.
You think?
I wish his father had pulled out. All right, hold on a second. Now, P.S. I know this. I said I can't have a long episode. I have to run out of here. Okay. But I've got a couple other things. Abortion on the ballot in Ohio.
Yep.
Holy shit!
Thank God.
Now this is 7 states. 7 states where abortion was put on the ballot for the voters to choose whether it should be legal or not and take it out of the legislators' hands.
Yeah.
And people said, no, we want safe and legal abortion for women and girls and anyone else with a uterus in this state. We're talking about Kansas, Ohio,
and
Michigan, California, the college turnout. That's why they're limiting it here. This is going to happen in Florida. It will be on the ballot in 2024, and we are going to make sure that abortion is safe and legal in the state of Florida again. That is what's going to fucking happen. And these legislators can go fuck themselves up there. They think they know what's best, but the people are telling you what they want. Shut the fuck up and sit down. You haven't done your jobs. You have fucking screwed the pooch on abortion rights, and now we're going to tell you how it is. This is how it's going to go. I am so proud when this kind of shit happens.
Oh my God.
This is what democracy fucking looks like.
That's right.
This is it.
Because guess what? All of the conservatives that you think are on your side, those women want access to abortion for themselves, for their daughters, for their nieces, for their grandchildren.
That's right.
And I'm tired of this bullshit going back to like this PragerU bullshit of telling women that we should only be happy being or find joy in being a mother and a wife and raising kids. And that's great, but women are more than that. We are not factories for men to just pop out babies for society. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Let's be honest. I know abortion isn't a topic we all like to sit in front of big rooms and talk about. I get it. Listen, even in one-on-one conversations, it can be uncomfortable and uneasy because those moments are not good moments for women or girls to have to make these decisions and actually go and do. It's not easy. These aren't easy things. But we have to talk about them and we have to bring them out into the light so that people understand. But in the safe, confined place of a voting booth, people know what's right.
They do.
They know what's right. And nobody ever wants to be put in the situation where this is they have to have this conversation with their wife or their daughter or their sister and say, and they're scared. And they say, what am I supposed to do? Those are hard conversations to be in. But when people put themselves in those situations here and they go, oh no, if this happens, I want to be able to take my loved one or my friend or my daughter to a safe place. And that's why they're voting this way. The majority of people will never have to deal with an abortion story in their life. It doesn't touch a lot of people. But when it does, they need to make sure that their loved one is taken care of. That's what this is about. It's not about mass killing of babies. It's about a very sensitive situation where we need to make sure that our loved one is going to be cared for and come out of it surviving. This is a real thing. It's not about, I was trying to explain last night about how, they changed these laws in Florida. A year ago, it was like, oh, well, you got to go in front of a judge. Now it's like, we need to see a police report if you're claiming rape to have an abortion. You need to see a police report.
Women don't do that.
Like, it's a humiliating situation, and it's harmful to this victim. And you're making it even worse. Like, we don't want to put our loved ones through these kinds of things. Why would you make a law like this? So now we're going to take it back. Then we're going to put an end to that bullshit. Real fucking quick.
I'm like crossing all the fingers and
real
toes.
Quick, we're going to do that. We're already over 600,000 petitions signed. We need 1 million by December. We're over 600,000 across the state of Florida. That's incredible.
And especially once school starts in the fall.
Yeah.
And
the college campuses.
College campuses.
It's over.
That's it.
And you're going to see. You're going to fucking see. We're done with this fucking conversation. Okay. Here's another thing. Do you have something else?
No.
My list is so long because I didn't have a story. So I was just like, here's all the things I'm going to say. Clarence Thomas, ProPublica.
Oh, God.
ProPublica came out
again.
Came out with another article. And here's the list. Here's the list of everything that they've found. 38 destination vacations. This is all bought and paid for by rich donors. 26 private jet flights. 8 helicopter flights.
He's got to get off.
12 VIP passes to sporting events, 2 stays at luxury resorts in Florida and Jamaica. By the way, one of the people giving him money was Ron Bergeron over here, who owns the Bergeron Rodeo. Who's a big Republican. This is one of the people giving him rides and doing all that kind of stuff. So like, this is now, come on.
Get off the court.
Yeah. It's time.
And that this man, all this stuff is coming out, and he has no shame.
No.
And no sense to go, you know what? I better step down because there's someone else going, don't step down until...
His wife is doing it.
Or don't step down until there's a Republican in office so that we can replace you with another Republican.
Listen, all due respect.
This court is not a nonpartisan court, man.
When you think about Supreme Court justices, don't you think like, wow, like brilliant.
Wow.
Like brilliant people.
This guy's an idiot.
Great minds. They catch him in this grift and he goes, oops, I didn't know.
Yeah, oh God.
Like, can you imagine a brilliant person like justice on the Supreme Court making decisions that affect hundreds of millions of people to go, I didn't know I couldn't take that trip. That's your excuse? But he can't step down because he can't go home. You can't go home to that wife who now will also lose hundreds of thousands of dollars a year
in court.
that she makes because her husband's a Supreme Court justice and she has access. So, major problem.
Should both be in jail. I mean, he needs to be removed.
Yeah.
And the fact that and then I get it, like who, back when they were creating this idea of a Supreme Court, would have thought that they needed something in place for removal of people in office like this.
Yeah.
And it's insane to me that there just isn't pressure on him repeatedly to resign.
Especially from Republican lawmakers. My mom and I were just talking about this week. She's like, I just can't believe watching Trump get charged and then his popularity goes up. She's like, I just can't believe it. I was like, yeah, because years ago, even it started in the 90s with the Newt Gingrich of it all, but like there was a real time in this country for most of our history where there wasn't this kind of partisanship. And like with a Richard Nixon, it was the Republicans in his party in Congress who told him,
resign.
This is it. We're holding hearings. Yeah. You are no longer going to be president. They held him accountable. And they did that because they know what's the difference between right and wrong. They held out for a long time.
It's the democracy of our country at stake.
They understood that protecting the democracy was more important than protecting a tricky dick, right? Like that's what was important more than anything else. And so we don't have that anymore. It's us versus them, and that's not how it's supposed to be. That's not how Congress is supposed to be working for us. And if they see a crook on the Supreme Court, a year ago they should have called this fucking guy out. This is outrageous that they're letting him get away with this.
They're never going to do it because they're all tied too. You know what I mean? Everybody's hands are dirty in this.
Yeah. Oof, girl. My last, well, a couple of things. Two other things. I'm so sorry. Did you see the Montgomery Brawl shit on Twitter?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, I'm fucking obsessed. And I started showing my kids last night. I'm like, and look at this, and look at this. The fucking videos are so goddamn funny. I am dying laughing every time I watch them.
It is shameful.
Oh, absolutely.
It is absolutely shameful what these people did. And the fact that they felt like they could get away with it, and now they want to cry because, you know, people came in and beat the shit out of them for their shit behavior.
Yeah.
I don't have sympathy for them.
Me either.
And they've all been charged. The other thing that I thought was great was, you know, because people online, they're like, oh, who's this person? What's his name? What's this? Oh, they own a business. And they're like, go to the business, start with your Yelp reviews, start with the Google reviews, start with the... You know what I mean?
This is not the time to be acting like a dick.
That is your business's reputation.
Yeah.
And I hope it goes under.
Yeah.
I hope it goes under. You got to sell your boat.
You know what I really want to know?
You got to sell that boat. And really... That the idea that this security guard just said, "Hey man, can you move your boat?"
I want to hear that.
And you are
such
a jerk.
Yeah.
That you think that you are so entitled that you can't move your boat and you got to try to kick somebody's ass.
Oh my God.
It's ridiculous. You're like a child. You're like a little child. Move the boat. Why don't the laws work for you?
Yeah.
Why don't the rules work for you? Because you're some rich white asshole? Get out of here.
But also the ferry, when you look at the videos, the ferry's sitting there waiting. There's hundreds of people sitting on that ferry watching this whole thing go down. These white, stupid, drunk pieces of shit were sitting there harassing this guy, saying no, 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 or whatever, thinking that nobody was going to watch, no one was watching. Right?
Or that nobody would care.
And nobody would care.
That they could just get away with it because of who they are. And this, that, and the other.
Listen,
nobody likes you.
I saw a video where this guy was like, listen, this is what happens when it's out in public. Like, we weren't there for Trayvon Martin because he might have survived. We weren't there for George Floyd because maybe he would have survived. Like, this is what happens when you do this and people come to rescue. They could have beaten the shit out of that guy.
Yeah.
And they didn't get the opportunity to do that. Shame on you. Shame. But also, like, I'm not a big TikTok person, but because I saw all these videos on Twitter, but like the level of creativity of people reacting it or, you know, recreating it or doing something with a hat flying up and a black Aquaman comes swimming in or like
it's
just
so good.
I saw the chair was interviewed.
Yeah.
Like I can't tell you how much I enjoyed watching all of that. My last thing is that we are almost at 200 episodes.
I know.
Are we going to do anything?
We should do something.
Make a plan?
We'll make a plan.
Okay.
The other thing I wanted to say was that in Broward County, every year there are resolutions passed. And they had to pass resolutions for everything from, you know, Teacher Appreciation Week to who knows what. And some of those are recognizing Pride Month of June, of recognizing LGBTQ History Month in October, the National Day of Silence, and people showed up to support our amazing board members who were in support and supportive of our LGBTQ students, especially the amazing Sarah Leonardi.
Oh, girl.
And that resolution got passed despite the other side trying to come in and say some nasty things. And I think this is one of the first times where they were outnumbered at that meeting. And it passed. And of course, the two DeSantis picks voted against it. And then the other loudmouth on that board didn't show up. So
yeah, well, she was on the phone. It got disconnected. Brenda Pham. Here's the thing about Tori Alston, who I don't understand. He just every time sometimes I'll put those board meetings on and I'll just be listening to them as I'm working.
Me too.
And let's put this off till next meeting. Let's put this off. He never wants to actually make a decision. No. He wants to just delay. You're an idiot. What the fuck are you doing there?
Yeah.
What the fuck? Make a decision. Be honest. He's always sitting there like smug, like, Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. You're a worthless piece of shit. You're the kind of person that he's a pawn piece
yes man.
that DeSantis just puts wherever he wants. Actually run for something and win.
Yeah.
That's a challenge to you, Mr. Alston.
Yeah.
Actually run, and Fogelholy too. Run for something and actually win the election. Because you're unlikable. You're both incredibly unlikable people.
Well, Fogan
Smug
Holy Ghost,
assholes.
Fogan Holy Ghost, he's speaking everywhere, and he always...
Please, he's probably going to try to run for something.
He always,
Good luck.
Acts like a preacher.
Yeah, nobody
He's always
knows.
invoking God.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. Go do that on your own time.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear it.
Nobody wants to
I
hear
don't
your
want to
bullshit.
hear it on school board time.
That's right. You want to go? You want to talk about God? Go to church. Go out. Go to your home. Go outside somewhere on the fucking corner like a lunatic.
School board.
Yeah. Nobody wants to fucking hear it. The looks on their faces as if they're actually important.
I know.
The people who are elected to office are the ones that actually matter. And the fact that they are even allowed to vote and make decisions on things that affect children and teachers in these classrooms is mind-boggling to me. It's mind-boggling. Get the fuck out. You're a loser nobodies that nobody gives a fuck about. And soon you'll be gone.
Well, let's hope.
No, they'll be out. You're fucking, like, they are, what's it called? Obstructionists.
Yeah.
And that Brenda Pham.
She was
elected. Fuck? She was elected. And I gotta say, what's happening out there in that district?
I know.
What is happening out there? Y'all need to get your heads checked. This is who you decided, although the Democrat that ran against her, let's be honest. But seriously, can we get a better candidate out there?
Thank you.
Broward Dems, find somebody to run against Brenda Pham. It's kind of important. I don't know what else you're doing, so maybe you could find the fucking candidate to run against her, because that's actually necessary. She stands with Nazis.
Yep.
She's on the beach walking around with white supremacists.
White supremacists.
Can we get her off the fucking Broward school board? She's an idiot.
And she also encourages families to leave the district.
Yeah.
What kind of school?
Don't put your kids in Broward schools. What, bitch? That's how you get paid, motherfucker.
Oh my God, this lady.
And she's,
Well, she's in this. That's
like we don't even have to get into it. Just go look up her picture. I don't know what's happening.
It's just a trait of like
the white lady crazy eyes.
Super conservative white women. Something happens and their eyes go crazy.
I have a theory about these white crazy conservative women. I don't think they sleep. I think they stay up like this at night. They're coming for our children, and their eyes just go like this. Like I just think that they're like frazzled all night. They get, obviously they're not getting a. Oh my God! By the way. Oh my God, I watched so many Rodney Dangerfield clips where he was going, Dr. Body, he was saying, Dr. Vinny Boombats. He does this with his hand, Dr. Vinny Boombats. Tina. So good. I fucking loved it. All right, we better get, it's now 40, it's almost 50 fucking minutes of me ranting.
All right, this is going to be short and sweet-ish. Okay. All right, today, I'm going to tell you the story of the murder of Michael Galdieri.
Ooh. Paisan?
I think so.
Okay.
Michael Galdieri had been friends with a well-known political consultant, but their relationship took a sinister turn when a murder-for-hire plot was allegedly orchestrated against him.
Oh, this sounds familiar now.
So this story takes place in New Jersey.
That's right. Come on, Jersey.
So Michael Galdieri was the son of former New Jersey State Senator James Galdieri.
Yeah.
And the family was pretty political, as his grandfather was once a member of the New Jersey Special Assembly.
Wait, this is the story. Remember I did the story about the family that was murdered, the older couple that was murdered in their house? He was a Republican, and there was another murder? That's it! It's connected. It's all connected.
It's all connected.
This is the first time this has happened on the podcast. It's so cool. I love it.
And listen, it was
a murder for hire. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So from what I've read about Galdieri, he was active in the New Jersey Democratic Party and worked on campaigns and even ran for a Jersey City Council seat in 2005, though he lost.
Mm-hmm.
A Hudson Reporter article noted that the night before the election, Galdieri was busted with drugs and weapons violations and ended up serving time. So he's like on the campaign trail, gets busted, and of course...
it sounds like somebody called that in.
It's over.
Yeah.
So the other person involved in this story is Sean Caddle. Caddle was very active in the New Jersey Democratic Party and worked on several campaigns. And according to a Patch article by Listener, he and Galdieri worked together on... they just worked together on several different campaigns, and Caddle had a political consulting firm, and Galdieri worked for that political consulting firm at the time of the murder. So Listener's coverage for Patch also noted that Caddle worked, some of the campaigns that he worked on was New Jersey State Senator Ray Lesniak, Democratic U.S. Senator Bob Menendez, and along with working with different super PACs and other nonprofits. So he's like in it, right? Like, and everybody in that sort of political scene at the time with the Democratic Party, like, knew who this guy was.
Yeah.
Right? He's just someone that everybody knew. And, like, we know people like that in Broward, right? So it would be something like that. So the major incident. Caddle, according to Listener's Patch article, hired George Bratsinis to murder Galdieri in 2014 in exchange for money.
Ooh.
Then Bratsinis hired Bomani Africa to help. And according to the Patch article, Caddle sent Bratsinis to take him out. Basically is these two were friends. It wasn't like they just worked together. They were like long time friends for years and years and years and years. And he hires this guy to take him out. And here's how things went down. Bratsinis and Africa stabbed Galdieri to death. And then Bratsinis, I don't know if I'm saying that name right.
It doesn't matter, yeah.
Started the fire to cover things up. After that, Caddle met up with the men at a diner and paid them off.
Oh, a diner.
Yeah.
So New Jersey.
I know. So how much do you think they got paid to do this hit?
50,000.
Nope.
10.
A little more.
15.
15,000. And then he had to give part of that money to the guy.
Oh, it's not enough.
15 grand, and you just take somebody out?
Yeah,
for
no,
what?
it's not worth it.
And then you get somebody else in on the job, so what, you're going to have $7,000?
Yeah, no. It's fucked up.
So why would Caddle want his friend murdered? Well, NewJersey.com noted that blackmail was the motive. But blackmail for what? Friedman's article for Politico notes that Caddle offered a couple of reasons. So at first, he claimed that Galdieri was blackmailing him for money, saying, quote, he would go public about certain things he had seen, done, and heard while working on the campaigns.
Okay.
Caddle also claimed that Galdieri was going to rat out high political figures, and Caddle didn't want that to happen. But according to the article, it's like, no, like Caddle, you're there protecting these other political figures because you don't want bad things to come out.
Right.
They're like, you're full of shit. It's about you, and you not wanting things to come out about you.
Woo.
So he's trying to like twist the story.
Girl.
So when everything was all said and done, though, the truth finally comes out, and Nancy Solomon, reporting for The Gothamist, writes that the motive was money, and allegedly Galdieri was stealing from Caddle. So the way things went down for Caddle and the two yahoos he hired, basically those two guys robbed a bank. Okay. And they eventually like copped to this murder plot because like they rob a bank, they're involved in this, and like one thing leads to another, and that was it. So I just wanted to read a little part of the obituary for Galdieri. Michael was a kind-hearted gentleman that would help anyone in need in the community. He was very passionate about politics. So the charges were for Caddle, 1 count of conspiracy to commit murder for hire. And despite the charges, he was allowed to remain on house arrest for $1 million bond. And somebody like paid that bond for him and let him just, and people were pissed off. So ultimately in January of 2022, Caddle pled guilty to conspiring to commit the murder for hire. And according to a Political article, there seemed to be some speculation. The speculation, I guess, was why did he get to stay on house arrest? Like, somebody pays this $1 million bond, but then they start speculating, oh, he's going to talk. He's going to start,
maybe it was political.
You know, he's going to start spilling his guts about other stuff.
So the judge is like, you know, judges aren't above that stuff.
Right. So from
sometimes.
what the article notes, he did offer his cooperation, but what came out of that was just basically like that there was some like politician's former chief of staff who was involved in like wire fraud. So it wasn't like anything huge. So even though like he offered this info, it didn't end up really helping his case, you know, at the end as far as his sentencing or things like that.
Oh my God.
So Sean Caddle bought himself 24 years for orchestrating the murder. As far as the two men hired to murder Galdieri, Bomani Africa got 20 years and George Bratsinis received 16. The judge, John Michael Vasquez, had this to say: "This is one of the most unusual and certainly one of the most heinous crimes I've encountered as a judge." U.S. Attorney Selinger had this to say: "Despite being lifelong friends, Caddle paid to have Galdieri murdered because he thought that his own business interests were at risk. Today's sentence is just a punishment for a heinous crime and provides some measure of justice for the victim and his family." FBI agent James E. Dennehy said, quote, "Regardless of any dispute or argument a person has with someone, hiring hitmen to solve it is not only cold-hearted and despicable, but also against the law."
Yeah, call the police. The guy's ripping you off. Report him to the police.
Yeah, I mean, unless he was involved in some other shady stuff.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean? Like,
totally.
there's something going on.
Yeah, because he knows if he calls the police and they arrest him, this guy might spill the beans on Galdieri might spill the beans on something else.
Yes. So one thing that was interesting is that there was this other case that you covered.
Yes!
That was very similar to Galdieri, where Josh Sheridan,
episode 156 of the Left Podcast.
The former transportation commissioner and his wife were found murdered in a similar way.
Yes.
He was found stabbed to death in his home, and an attempted fire was happened to try to cover it up. So that's like, so now they're thinking that Caddle may have been involved.
Yeah, but that Bratsness guy too. He's an older guy.
Yes. All right, so points of interest. One thing I found absolutely horrible was Galdieri's sister's statement. And she said basically she felt such regret after realizing, quote, this person you cried and embraced at your brother's funeral was the one solely responsible for your brother's death. And she talked about how, like, he was there for her, consoling her, and he's the one that did it. And she's like, and years later, she's got to realize, like, that his friend did this, and he's at my house, and he's at the...
That's, oh my God, so fucked up.
Isn't that messed up?
Yes, that's so fucked up.
No, you know, he's at the repast, and, like, this is what he's doing.
It's a repast.
Like at the wake.
Oh, okay. I never heard somebody call it repast.
Oh.
What's that mean? Like you walk past the body?
I don't know.
What's that, an Italian thing?
I don't know.
Repast.
Let's look it up.
Yeah. What the fuck is that? Sounds like a total
repast. Oh, the meal that you share after the funeral.
Okay.
Okay, there you go.
I never heard that.
Hey.
I'm here for the meal.
I'm here for... I'm gonna
is
have
it
to
open
go back to
casket
the
or
goddamn Sopranos when Junior's on house arrest and he's trying to go to all the funerals.
Yeah.
And he ends up at there's somebody who's a child dying, and everyone's sad, and he's like, "Oh, this chicken is great." And then he's like, "What is he doing?"
But the funny is he called for like my cleaning lady's nephew or something like that.
He's so stupid.
Oh my God, Sopranos.
So good.
Forget it.
And then the other thing I didn't get into is Galdieri, he was suffering from drug addiction. You know, he had that arrest, remember, when he was running for office, and it seemed like that maybe was one of the reasons that he was stealing or, just, not doing so well. But I didn't want to really, like, harp on it because despite that, there's no reason, to kill a person if they're, dealing with...
Please.
Which I consider it's an illness,
Yeah.
And that's it. Short and sweet, baby.
Oh, Tina, that was really short and sweet. I hope you didn't cut anything out because I talked too much at the front.
No. It was just
how weird that it's connected to the story. As soon as you said Galdieri, I was like, that is something a hip higher. That rang bells for me.
And it's just crazy that this is like a Politico, and like it sent shockwaves like through the political community because like everybody knew this guy. He went to the meetings. Also, he was around in the neighborhood. Like everybody knew. And when you saw like pictures of him, he's like so Jersey. Yeah. Mr. Cool. Yeah. And he hires somebody for $15,000, and he was, I think, 45. Oh. Going to jail. Like he had kids, a wife. Like.
I went to
what are you doing? What are you doing?
I don't know, but I went to the science museum yesterday and they had a mummies exhibit. By the way, it was fucking weird
did you go
and great.
Frost? Oh, I wanted to go to that. Was it good?
It's first of all, I did not expect so it's like mummies, right? Yeah. So I'm like, oh, all right. So we go into the doors and it's like showing some things. So we go in the doors, you don't really see anything. Then you come around the corner, it's like, there's a dead body sitting here. What the fuck? And then they had like babies. Yeah. Anyway, one of the bodies, it was a 45-year-old woman, and I was like, God damn it, she looks better than I do. She was like, she was like this, like all crunkled up, and her toes were all like fucking cringed in. I'm like, 45, her skin looks great. This is bullshit. But also, what are we doing? There was one that looked like they just showed a piece of his foot, and it looked like it was still alive. And then I started reading the thing, and it was like, this was done in 1994 in the University of Maryland. Like, they were trying to recreate how they would mummify these bodies in Egypt. And they took a cadaver that was donated and did all of the things that the Egyptians would do. And I was like, this is too real. It's too real. It's too real. They had shrunken heads.
Oh, well, I love that.
It was good. It was good. Ooh. Dude, I love going down to Miami. Like, I love it. I hate the drive.
The drive sucks.
Every time the overpass or whatever that, it's always closed.
And you can miss. It's so easy to like miss where you're supposed to get off.
That one turn takes 20 freaking minutes around.
At the if I'm not mistaken, you can now like really like hop on that Brightline, and then what is the one the
mover, Metro Mover,
the Metro Rail. Then you can like get on them, and the Metro Rail is like right there by Frost.
Yeah,
and right there by like Bayside and all of that.
Well,
like,
we went to Wynwood first. I started looking on Thursday, because I took Friday off, which was amazing for me, by the way. Slept until 10 o'clock.
Oh.
My daughter comes in and she was like, I was like, oh my God, let me get up. And so we went down to Wynwood, because we like going to the murals all down there. And I started looking at where we're going to eat. And I actually got to park right in front of this place. It's called La Sanchuicherie, I think. Anyway, so fucking good. So good. And then we looked at all the murals, and then we drove over to Frost, which is like, I don't know, a couple miles away. But Miami is such a what was my son saying on the way back? It's colorful, it's unique, it's like vibrant, it's such a wonderful city. Too much construction downtown right now, but still like such a great city. I mean, I'm not going to complain about the construction in Miami because that's what we do. Yeah. But still, I fucking love it down there.
Yeah. I was thinking of doing that Brightline just to like see. I know I did it before. I would take the Tri-Rail back in the day. And
the Metro Mover is right next to the Frost. I'm sure that's you saying.
Right there.
Yeah, and you can walk around down there. I guess that's it.
That is it. We got stuff to do.
Yeah, I got to go take 3 teenage girls and my beautiful boy. We're gonna go watch Barbie. So, my daughter's like, I miss my friends. I said, have them come over tomorrow. You guys can go in the pool. I said, we can go watch Barbie. And she's like, she's so excited, and she's like picking out her outfit, and it makes me so fucking happy. So I'm gonna pick up her little friends. It's gonna be cute. And I got them tickets like in a row away from us, so they can sit by themselves. Yeah. It's very exciting. It's gonna be a good day. Yeah, I'm excited. I love when my babies are with me.
Oh, sweet babies.
Okay.
All right.
So we'll see you later, alligator.
Bye.
Hey, bye.